Hi, this is Silky from Grief to Love, and I just want to share a quick story about guilt. As a grief expert, I have worked with many people, and pretty much everybody or a lot of people experience guilt in some shape or form. And also, when I was going through my own grief journey after my sister died, I had this relentless sense of guilt. And it was as if there was a part of me that was always going, but you didn't save her. You didn't do enough. And my conscious, my logical mind kind of always tried to argue with this unconscious part that it was always kind of going, but it was your fault, it was your fault. And no matter how much I logically try to let my unconscious part know that, you know what, the surgeons couldn't save her, the oncologist couldn't save her, then probably a layperson like me without a medical degree probably wasn't, really my job to save her. But it was still that this part always kept going, yeah, but still it is your fault. And it was just kind of like it was tearing me apart a bit. And I had lots of sleepless nights over it. And because also the person who was grieving at that moment in time, that was his sister, that was me. And it wasn't really the grief expert who's got kind of like a lot of knowledge and experience in helping other people through grief. Now I had to use those same principles and those processes that I knew that worked. I had to use them on myself. So, and the thing really is that I then kind of dug in. And I also remembered what I was talking about at the AHA World Conference when I was the key speaker on grief, about objections that come up when we talk about grief and the things that would happen at the level of the unconscious. And I got lots and lots of questions from other therapists, psychologists, grief counselors and stuff, because they all have this core problem on how to address this thing when people kind of feel really guilty about something in their grief. And that may not be that they felt it was their job to save them, but that they might feel that they didn't do enough, or I should have said this, or I shouldn't have said that, or all those things where people kind of just feel guilty about something. And all the other therapists had this massive problem that they just didn't have any useful tools on how to address that other than to argue with it, which is pointless because the unconscious always keeps throwing that same question back up. So I dove into my own guilt, and I just pretty much asked the unconscious, okay, all right, so what's the intention? Because your unconscious mind is always trying to fulfill a positive intention. It's always trying to do something useful for you. Yeah, it's kind of like a, hey, thumbs up to the unconscious, because it always wants to be doing something positive for you. Whether it's working or not is a completely different story. So I pretty much dove in and asked my unconscious, okay, so, why do you feel guilty? And the idea was, well, it was your job to save her. Okay, let's assume I could have done that. What would be the intention behind that? Well, then I could fix it. And once I could fix it, then she would still be alive. And if she was still alive, then my mum and dad's pain would be gone, and my brother-in-law's pain would be gone. And if all their pain was gone, then my pain would be gone, and I could be happy again. So the unconscious positive intention, in actual fact, was to kind of make everybody happy. But of course, the outcome was the exact opposite, that I was just tearing myself up. And so it's really important to always remember that the unconscious always has a positive intention. Whether it is working or not is a completely different story. So, and that's where a lot of therapists who only work with the conscious, with the logical side of things, like psychologists and grief counselors, they just haven't learned yet how to address the stuff that is happening at the unconscious, which is, one of the many reasons why I teach other therapists, other grief counselors, psychologists, other hypnotherapists, how to help their grieving clients better. And because once we can get to the unconscious things, it just moves things along in a different way. And yeah, so if you want to go deeper, check out my website, www.grieftolove.com. And yeah, you'll find some information there about me and what I do. And yeah, leave me a comment if you've experienced any of this yourself, or ask me a question. Always happy to answer a question. And if you do none of that, then maybe give me a heart or a thumbs up. And I'll talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.